Okay, thank you for being here. We're going to be giving you lots of information about fibromyalgia. A little bit we have created here at the Center for BioAcoutsic Biology. So welcome everyone, and I am Sharry Edwards from the Institute of BioAcousic Biology. I will point you toward a couple of articles that you might want to download. This is on Sound Health under In the News articles, and if you go down to the bottom and you can click on this picture, and we put that up because we certainly think fibromyalgia is a problem with the body's electrical system. But you can click here and it will bring you an article up that you can download and feel free to share it with other people. You might want to change the color of this dark reddish sort of sidebar if you're going to do it in black and white, because it'll probably just turn out black and you won't be able to see it. We firmly believe that whoever controls health controls the quality of life. And when this first started, they tried to tell people who had fibromyalgia that it was all in their head, and it's because they didn't have the answer. And so we tend to go after things that medical science doesn't have the answer for, because we are convinced that the state of your health can be found in the sound of your voice. As we look at people's vocal print, we know that the body has the ability to self-diagnose and reorganize, and the body can heal itself, can heal cuts and bruises and whatever else is going on, or it can try to, a broken bone. And as we look at that, we have found that looking at the frequencies of the voice can give us information about the frequencies of the brain, what the brain uses to heal itself. And over the years, as we have collected data, because there was nothing else to go by, we found that people with similar traumas, illnesses, syndromes, psychologies, and on and on and on and on, have similar, if not identical, vocal anomalies. And we have done this project with fibromyalgia many, many years ago and given it out to people. Our next sequence that we're going to do is going to be on lipedema. We're going to be doing one on neuroplasticity. The body has the ability to reorganize and heal itself. We just provide it what it needs. Just like they didn't have any medications for fibromyalgia except nerve and pain kind of medications, which really didn't solve the problem. And when we went in, we found two issues. One, that the body couldn't rid itself of trash, like medications mostly, heavy metals, iron. An overabundance of iron we found could cause fibromyalgia, and medical literature has still not caught up with us about that. The other is the inability to process lactic acid out of the muscles. Now, lactic acid is actually a good thing. Lactic acid is there to rebuild the muscles, to keep the muscles young and supple. So it's a good thing. But providing specific formulas to your client causes the lactic acid to work quicker. Judy Chambers, and I don't think she's on with us, but she just took a little girl who was 6 and could not speak, and with bioacoustic frequencies got her to be able to talk again. Now that's an incredible piece of information that we would like to share with everybody. There is a fibromyalgia portal. It's soundhealthportal.com/fibromyalgia, and wonderful videos there, articles there, very well done, very professionally done. So you can go to the Sound Health Options site and grab some of these articles, but there are so many more articles, more information on the portal, because that section was specifically built for fibromyalgia. We are getting a lot of recognition from a lot of people. Doctors especially are joining us, and we've got our first doctor course happening the 14th and the 15th of April. The doctors were organized by Dr. Apsley, who's been following our work for about 20 years, and he watched us in action in February, and he said, our techniques are absolutely breathtaking. So you can use this as part of your marketing. Any of these you can use. We also have films, Breaking the Sound Barriers of Disease and Miracles of Non-Medicine, for your marketing. Go to soundhealthoptions.com, go to downloads, go to Secret Stash, and there you'll find this. There's also links in Vimeo to both of these. This has a very esoteric beginning, and those of you who've taken our 5-day professional course received this book written by Jill Madsen that tells you all of this computerization really comes from a talent I was born with. I have a sacculus activated in my ear. It's much like dolphins, but it's been dormant in humans for a long time. Mine happens to be activated probably from a near drowning experience when I was very young. But not only does it help me hear sounds in different octaves, but it helps me with pressure. And I don't think anybody who's ever written the books about this knows that it helps you understand the pressure of what's around you. Like in this room, which is about 25 by 20, with big tables and chairs, I can hear the sound of this room, and I can do the sound of this room, and the room will echo back to me. And that may be part of the echolocation stuff that dolphins are doing, or able to do. We don't know yet. We are in the Duke Encyclopedia of New Medicine, and they're saying, well, we published our first papers in 1982, and that's what they're talking about here. So if you see other people claiming, and you will, that this is their stuff, it's coming from here. And it's coming from my ability to hear sounds when we can't find them in somebody's voice. I can do the sounds, yes, and animals too, and we can figure out how we came to that conclusion. We know that bioacoustic is not medicine yet because we don't have all of the answers. We're looking for data, and I always tell people if they get well, that's their problem. And when the FDA came here and the American Medical Association, they just kind of threw up their hands at what we were doing because it was so out of the norm for them, out of the normal path of how they work. It's kind of even backwards. So just as there are pathways in the body that are chemical pathways, we have worked with the matrix of numbers and harmonics, and we have found a way to develop mathways. And even if we only have a couple of pieces of what's going on, like with Carolyn with pyruvate and Borrelia, we know what to do with those two numbers to entrain her brain and send her information back to make her brain do what it ought to have done in the first place, which is bring her to optimal form and function. We've been doing this for several years. You can see this is one of the first ones that we did in 2014. And we know that fibromyalgia also deals with inflammation and arthritis and allergies and the Krebs cycle of the body. Lyme has just come in recently. This is a wonderful but a little technical book, Fibromyalgia and Chronic Myofascial Pain. Jeff, they can upload a vocal file right directly on the website?
This campaign of fibromyalgia, where a person can go to the Sound Health Portal community website, soundhealthportal.com, or open the portal, and then there's sound services there on the left. Explains how to do this. and then it says what happens when they do it. A qualified sound health provider, like you're talking to now, the team of technicians and BARAs, would be part of that resource, and they would give a preliminary scan to this person who's interested. And then it shows them that really, you can't just use your device microphone. You've got to use maybe something better, like the Samsung Go mic, for example. Anyways, you scroll down, then they would learn how to capture those voice samples, and then they would, someone would have to help them prepare it using Audacity at this time. We're still developing the ability to do that on a web page, but right now it's Audacity. That just shows basically how to get a decent recording. It shows some videos of where to place the mic and things like that, and why we want a decent mic. And then on the bottomest part of this page, there's a place to upload voice files. And so what they do is they join the community, and then if you open that up, just click on that. If you're not signed in, you'll see that you have to sign in or register. And so once we have their information, they're able to upload voice files, and then we can disperse those with people who are helping people with fibromyalgia. This is generally for people who don't have a practitioner, but they want one. They've seen what you do on your talk shows, and they're excited about this, and they just say, hey, this sounds really cool. I think I want to try this. And then once they've submitted their interest at the website, a preliminary analysis would be offered to them, and then that information, their information, would be forwarded on to a provider who is part of the network.
That is great, but I can see, in addition to that, these bioacoustic practitioners could send a client, maybe it's their mother who lives in Alaska and they're in the tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no reason why. I mean, to join the community is free. Once a person signs in, then there's information they can provide, and there's a place to put a note, like, well, my provider is George. We would just send that to the provider that they have a referral to. So absolutely, if I'm a provider and I have somebody out in Timbuktu, they can definitely use the website as a way to get that voice file over to their provider. However, they could also just email them to their provider since they already have a relationship. But yeah, it's absolutely open to anybody that wants to use it.
So for those who are just listening, fibromyalgia is a neurosensory disorder characterized by widespread muscle pain, joint stiffness, and fatigue. The condition is chronic, ongoing, but pain comes and goes and moves about the body. The disorder is often misdiagnosed or unrecognized and is often complicated by mood and anxiety disorder. Estimated that 6 to 10 million people worldwide have fibromyalgia, and I really think a lot of this is toxicity from the junk that our body does not know how to metabolize. Symptoms: transient, come and go; mobile, they move around the body; reoccurring, intermittent, erratic. It's very hard to pin down, but we do know that it's something about the metabolism of the muscles and maybe even nerve intervention too. Mobile pain, stiffness, I don't know why, but attract black flies and mosquitoes. That maybe could mean it has something to do with the carbon dioxide exchange, because if that's not done well, the body will attract mosquitoes because the mosquitoes are attracted to that carbon dioxide. Their balance is generally off, changes in the voice, edema, holding water, craving for carbs and sweets. Now, I'm seeing a relationship here with these symptoms with lipidemia, which is keeping not only water, but keeping oils and fats, and craving sweets. Ridges on the nails, scar easily, fibrotic breast tissue, galloping cholesterol, up and down cholesterol, unusual reactions to medications, thick mucus in nose, eyes, and throat. So you can see this is just kind of all over the place. Some people have night sweat. Some people get the shakes. Their hair's thinning. They bruise easily or not at all. That's another issue with lipidemia. Thinning hair. jumpy muscles, twitchy muscles, people would call them. Hands hurt if run under cold water. Light sensitivity, dizziness, electromagnetic sensitivities, which brings magnesium and a lot of the minerals that are used in the muscles. Numbness, tingling, frequency wet ears. Now that tells me that Epstein-Barr is a part of this. When your ears feel wet and sloshy inside, that is the activation of the Epstein-Barr virus, which is very hidden. Stealth. It's a stealth virus. These are some of the initiating events. Stress, microcirculation problems with mineralization. Mira Colton talks a lot about that on the shows that she was on with us. Proprioceptive events like a stroke in that part of your brain which you don't know where your body parts are. I know when I had a stroke about 10 years ago, I didn't know where my foot and leg was. I could see it, but I couldn't feel where it was. It is just a tremendously traumatic event, and so that and the stress. Metabolic imbalances, going back to the Krebs cycle and the methylation mapping. I'm trying to move through these quickly. Some of the things that we have done with fibromyalgia, looking at a lot of different peoples, we found they have a low threshold of pain and they have higher levels of histamine. Now, remember, I showed you the pastel folder. In there is a green paper. It tells you that if somebody has high histamine, you might want to use methionine with them first because that ameliorates the very high histamine, and high histamine makes people very histrionic. Histrionic means they overreact, and it may look like overreacting on the outside, but their nerves are just on edge, and that's what's making them not know which direction to turn. So that is beyond what you'll see in the literature. Our literature, I should say BioAcoutsic literature, substantiated this, but I don't think in terms of fibromyalgia. Lack of pyruvate, which is the note of F, and oxygen at a cellular level, inability to disperse lactic acid, F sharp, inflammation from high iron, pollution, toxicity, immunization, stress, nerve pathway blockages or sensitivities, or just an inability to send on the impulse. Here is one lady that we worked with that just could not believe what was going on. It took about an hour of the fibromyalgia sound from the fibromyalgia tone box, and she wanted to, I said, what's the first thing you want to do when you get well? I always set people up that way. She said, I want to go skiing. And we went to get our tone box back from her because she had had it for 3 months, and her office told us she was out skiing. This is another one that this was actually on TV, and I was going to share this with you.
I'm going to get up and it's going to go away. This woman lives in constant pain. Now she hopes the use of sound of her own voice to ease her agony. A special report tonight.
Can the sound of your voice tell doctors you will soon be sick or hurt? An Ohio researcher with Miami Valley ties believes that is true.
Marcia Bonhart explains why her new age theory sounds so interesting. Marcia? Talking Colleen, it is called BioAcoustics. And there's a local woman who hopes her own voice will finally tell doctors how to treat her chronic, debilitating pain.
Hi, this is Valerie Elijah. Join me Saturday night.
Valerie Elijah is a busy wife, mother, and a community affairs director for a local radio station.
I'll see you there.
It may not look like it, but she spends every day in agony, often unable to sleep.
I mean, I pray for it every night that the next day I'm going to get up and it's going to go away, but I know that it's not.
Valerie's ordeal began 16 years ago, right after the birth of her twin daughters.
The fatigue, I can't even describe to you.
Valerie saw scores of doctors. Finally, a specialist at the Cleveland Clinic diagnosed her with fibromyalgia, a disorder that fills her body with consistent, unexplained, excruciating pain.
Just go ahead and put them on.
That's why Valerie was anxious to meet this Fairborn woman, Sharry Edwards, considered the foremost expert on bioacoustics.
We take a sample of your voice, usually 30 to 40 seconds long. We subject that set of notes and frequencies and words that you use to a computer, and the computer puts it in order.
Edwards believes each of us has a unique frequency expressed through our voice. When we get sick or when we're about to get sick, Edwards claims she can see it in voice patterns.
If we were going to play it back, it would sound like from the very lowest to the very highest.
My twins' names are Kiera.
Edwards took Valerie's voice sample.
Born August.
She also hooked Valerie to headphones that carry a sound designed to ease the pain.
We'll hear just a really low kind of thumping sound.
Within 5 minutes, Valerie Elijah said her pain decreased. That's when Edwards showed her the findings of her vocal print. The computer compared that print to patterns known to show fibromyalgia.
It's a high sort of upward triangular shape, and it's thick on one side but thin on the other, and that tells me it's toxicity.
For Valerie, some answers she hopes will unlock the mystery of her pain.
It's good to know, but it's also scary, that you have toxins in your body and pathogens in your body that are going to cause problems. But I'd rather know so that hopefully I can do something about it.
For Edwards, the satisfaction of helping a client who has suffered so much for so long.
We've been able to create a technology that I think is going to change medicine.
So as we worked with her, we found out that her toxicity was Pitocin, an artificial oxytocin that they give you when they're inducing labor. And sure enough, they induced labor with her twins. So we detoxed the body from the Pitocin, and her fibromyalgia went away. We use numbers, frequencies of the voice to represent the Pitocin, because the body recognizes things as a frequency. Everything comes in as a frequency, whether it's a pill or an aroma or a sight or something you're hearing. Everything comes in, and frequencies are notes in our music. So Pitocin, I think, is a note of B. I can't remember. But we took the frequency of the note of B, or you could get some relief with just using frequencies of the notes of B, like in music, and that would tone it down some. That's why some people are saying use music to heal the pain. We created 2 tone boxes. We probably could put these together, but these are really testing tone boxes for technicians and bearers. The yellow one is to help metabolize the lactic acid and the pyruvate, and the iron-colored one is to get rid of the toxic overload of iron, hemochromatosis, most of the time. And a lot of times it's a medication like the Pitocin that you just saw. So there are hopes, and we do have a set of sonocards that's just for fibromyalgia. So we will probably be having more of these, and we will certainly let you know. And thank you for being here.